Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps is the first sequel done by Academy Award-winning director Oliver Stone to any of his films. I sat down with Stone to talk about all that has happened in the financial industry in the years between the two films. So you had a chance to make a sequel back in 2006. You passed. How come do it now?
Well, the 2008 happened, and that gave it some validation, some definition. Here we lived through this era of excess and tremendous greed, and I thought, you know, it was some punishment at least. I hope so, and some karma. But I don't know now. Let's say that it's a background for me. You know, it was in 1987, 1980s, Reagan, consumerism, the concept of deregulation, and now in 2008, it bore fruit. All the madness, all the junk that was sold to the public.
I want to talk about some of the characters in the movie and who you based them on, because I think when we think of that first movie, there's been so much written about Carl Icahn, Ivan Boesky, that they were the real-life inspiration. Who was the real-life inspiration for the characters in this movie? I know you talked to like Sam Waxell of
it's a bit different because in the 1980s that was a very phenomenal thing. All of a sudden these buccaneers were emerging. I call them that because they were solo flyers. They were doing things like rating companies, Green Mail, doing huge deals. The numbers were huge. All of a sudden you're talking $50 million, $70 million, $100 million to buy a company.
Right.
Big deals. That's what Gekko represented, that new era. That era was subsumed by the hedge funders who became more organization, more funds. They were bigger, less personal. They wanted to focus off the personality. So, and then in the 2000s, I think the hedge funders became the bankers. And that's what's amazing, because the banks were always boring, institutional, dull, and not supposed to take huge risks. So what happened in the 2000s, the bankers became the Gekkos of the 1980s, and the high flyers leveraged it 40 to 1, 35 to 1. So that was what was interesting. But so this movie was based more on a system. For example, I'd say Josh Brolin, as one of the top bankers, would be a combination of Diamond and Lloyd Goldfein. And also, I would say Rubin, you know, because of his slick, good looks and ease, and master of the universe. But he's got partners. He's got a Goldman-type situation. Eli Wallach is the older partner. Right. You see other partners there. And Gekko had no peer because he is who he is, but now he's come out of jail. So the only guy I could find who was really had been in the game was Sam Waxell. He'd been a doctor who did the ImClone. Right. But of course he didn't benefit from it, which is a horrifying story.
Just in jail time.
Sam is a great character, but very positive man, and he's back working very, very hard on a new cancer solution. Actually, I think he might be very successful. He may make a second fortune, a real fortune now. But so. And I would say that Frank Langella is based to some degree on the Bear Stearns tragedy.
Jimmy Kane?
Yeah, and the concept of an older man doing things the old-fashioned way and it being outrun by time. I think there's a bit of Richard Fuld, the arrogance of Lehman Brothers in that story. And the concept, you know, don't forget the Langella and Shia accused Brolin of running rumors against the firm. Remember, Kane went to Washington, and he said, in my heart, I can't prove it, I don't have a smoking gun, but in my heart, I believe there are rumors set against us.
There's a line that I had read somewhere, and you said you were shocked when you went back to Wall Street when you made Money Never Sleeps. You said, the way you put it, $1 million had become $1 billion.
I should say 100 million became $1 billion. That'd be more accurate. Okay,
but still, the money had gotten bigger. They'd replaced people of substance with people who made money, and that the Volckers had become Greenspans. I love that line. What do you mean?
Alan Greenspan, the guy is like, he's eponymous with the concept of dumb money. I mean, he was the guy who was in love with Ayn Rand, and it couldn't go wrong, and free enterprise will work.
Do you fault him for everything that happened?
Not everything, no. But he was part of. Well, Rubin is as much to blame because he was actually involved in the legislation, getting it through with Graham. I mean, Rubin was the guy who said, "It works, it will work," and he went back, and he's the only Secretary of the Treasury who actually went back after office and enriched himself even more. He pigged out. Whereas you have to give credit to Hank Paulson. You know, I know he was much. I like Hank Paulson. He went back to a modest life, and he didn't try to benefit from his job. At the end of the movie, Gordon Gekko says something about human beings being mixed bags. I mean, I know you don't say it's all about teaching a lesson, but that's a strong point, isn't it? I mean, do you even think the players on Wall Street, there's some good and bad? I do believe so. My father, I met the big guys I know. But, you know, there is a point, there is a limit. You go past a certain place when you screw innocent people like they did, and they really did. They sold fraudulent securities, essentially, to innocent people. And they should have known. I mean, I don't know. They should have known better, and the government should have known better. So they do belong in jail, yeah. And after the end of the Great Depression, by the way, they made the bankers walk the plank. No such thing happens because you're on the cover of Time magazine. That gives you sanctity. Because you have $1 billion, you're sanctified. No, I don't believe that.